Hello, everyone. Welcome to the PI Playbook podcast, a show where I get inside the huddle with successful personal injury law firms and find out their winning strategies in the courtroom and in their business. I'm pleased for today's conversation. I'm joined by Robin Gouveia of D. Oliveira and Associates. Robin, thanks for making the time and joining us today.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, of course. Robin, tell us a little bit about your firm, your background, and what you guys do at D. Oliveira and Associates.
Sure. So it's D. Oliveira and Associates. We are a strictly personal injury law firm. We're based in Rhode Island and southeastern Massachusetts, although we have expanded into all over Massachusetts recently. So we have 17 offices, I believe. Um, I manage several of them. It's I've been here for almost 15 years. I've been practicing for almost 30. And like I said, we are a strictly personal injury firm. We handle dog bites and car accidents and slip and falls. We do some med mal cases and um, other mass torts. We have a referral network, so some of our cases do get referred out to specialists who handle that particular type of case, depending on the case. But the motor vehicle accidents, dog bites, slip and falls, and other smaller negligence cases, and I don't want to say smaller, I shouldn't say that. I should say um, other negligence cases are certainly handled by me and the associates in our firm. We have the principal of our firm, Paul de Oliveira, opened the firm about 35 years ago and practiced for many, many years. He's semi-retired, but he does the business end of our practice. He handles all the marketing and the advertising, things like that. There's three attorneys, all three women who handle cases on a day-to-day basis. We have a pretty large caseload. We do a lot of advertising. Um, it's it's a great practice. I love what I do. I absolutely love what I do.
You said you've been with the firm for 15 years
Yes.
and you've been practicing for 30. What did you do before this firm?
Well, so prior to this firm, I worked for a firm. This firm and another firm were merged. They were partners. I worked for the other partner, and they shared advertising expenses and insurance and things like that, but it was really two separate practices. They just split the practices geographically. They then split, and I stayed with that other firm for a few years, probably about 7 or 8 years after it split, stayed with them, and then I left them and came here and worked with Paul. So it's really been the same practice, just in a different location. So I did the same thing. I've done the same thing for almost 30 years. I also have a background in the insurance industry. So I started my practice, well, started working as an insurance claims adjuster when I first graduated from college. Went to law school nights and transitioned into a practicing attorney working for the plaintiffs on the other side.
Wow, went to law school while you were still working full time, huh?
I was, yeah.
That's pretty rare. That's
Yeah.
hats off to you for being able to juggle all that.
Thank you.
So yeah, your experience as an adjuster and working kind of defending these type of claims, how has that shaped your approach to the cases that you handle today?
Tremendously. That's really what I can say. There's probably a dozen or so of us who worked as insurance claims adjusters, went to law school, and now practice as plaintiff attorneys. And we know each other because it's not a unique thing, but it's kind of rare. Um, but I know when I'm negotiating the settlement, I know what the adjusters need to go get more money because I did it. I did it for 10 years. I know the arguments they need to document their file to justify giving more money. Um, I know a good demand letter, what it needs in it in order to kind of get the ball rolling. Um, I know what adjusters hate, and I avoid those if I can. It's been a tremendous asset to me. And a lot of times I know the adjusters because it's a small industry.
Yeah, you see the same names and faces.
Yeah, and a lot of them I worked with when, many years ago. Although I'm getting older, so a lot of them are now retiring, but that's okay.
Yeah. Yeah. So the firm now, you've been with them for a while and they have, did you say 19 locations across Rhode Island and
17,
Massachusetts?
17,
15? 17.
17.
Okay. So what has it been like then for you being a part of a firm that's experienced such growth?
Um, so when I started here, my caseload was a lot lower, and I just worked on getting myself out there. I introduced myself to chiropractors. I made friends and built my practice. But the biggest perk, I think, is being good to your clients. I can't tell you how many return clients I have or referrals from clients that I get. I get a ton of them every day. Every day. I read your reviews on Google and that helps a lot as well. Just because people want to see someone that's human
Yeah, certainly.
and they want to know their
Um,
attorney. They don't want a stranger. They don't want to call the office and not know who they're going to talk to. That's a big problem I think with some of the big firms. We're a big firm. I mean, we're one of the largest in the Rhode Island, Massachusetts area, but um, we have a small town feel, a small office feel.
what would you say has been kind of instrumental or what's the cultural focus for the firm in the growth that you've experienced and you're a big firm, but still maintaining kind of that small town feel?
Our principal is really an advocate of customer service. He We repeat that phrase daily, and the staff knows it. We give perks to our staff when they get credits from clients. We give we appreciate them and you know for years, 2 or 3 times a year, I would treat my staff to a spa day or something like that just to show them my appreciation because I if they're happy, they're going to relay happiness. And we're there to help people when they're really down, and it's so important to be kind and patient because sometimes it can get challenging, and I think they do a great job.
So you've mentioned that you manage a significant part of your job is to kind of manage offices. Now, what would you say is kind of the split between you actively handling cases and you being more of a management level role?
It's probably I mean, it's probably 50-50. I handle every client I have, I handle their case. I have staff that do certain tasks on it, but I oversee everything. So, I mean, I have my fingers in every file every day. I don't delegate anything to somebody completely. Everything is certainly overseen by me. And the other two associates in our firm do the same thing. We have two managing attorneys and an associate attorney, and we all handle cases the same way. Um, we the two managing attorneys, we the only difference is we manage staff, and that's really about the biggest difference.
Got it. What, from your vantage point, what are some of the bigger shifts happening in the personal injury law arena right now? Whether it's kind of legal landscape, how clients come to you, or how insurance companies behaving? Any big shifts that you've noticed in your practice?
I've noticed quite a few actually. And I can probably separate them maybe into three tiers. The first one would be how clients get to us. There's so much competition. The competition is fierce. It's all who's spending more money on advertising and it used to be, you buy pages on the yellow pages and that's where you wanted to spend your money. You can't do that anymore. There's no more yellow pages. So now it's do you do television? Do you do broadcast? Do you do some of the streaming services? Do you do just internet? There's so many different options, and so that the landscape of where you market and where you advertise has changed so drastically. And sometimes it's just a let's swing and see if we hit. We sometimes we just don't really know. And I think Paul de Oliveira, he's so good at that, and he's got his finger on the pulse of it. He knows, he talks to people, he's involved in groups across the country, and he's really good at it. You know, we know some of the big firms, everybody knows them, and they're just outspending everybody on in every area, and it's very challenging. But we then kind of support it with that customer service and I take a lot of clients from them because or from the bigger firms, because they're not giving the service, and then they come to me, and we handle it. We handle it like we handle every case. I don't wanna take cases from other attorneys, but if a client's not happy, they're gonna go somewhere, so I might as well help them. And I will pay, the prior attorney through the fee. We do a fee split, and it works. So we're still doing okay. We still have lots of clients. We're still moving the needle, which is always good. So that's kind of the first and how they get to you. I think, which kind of transitioned into the marketing and where you market, how you market. But I think as far as the insurance companies and settling cases, 30 years ago, you took the meds, you multiplied it by three, and that's what the case was worth. It was a piece of cake. Well, that's certainly not the case anymore. We really have to fight and advocate a lot for our clients, a lot more than we ever did many, many years ago. But it makes it kind of fun when you have a really good case and you know this client and you know what they went through. I mean, I talk to clients. I before every demand, I try and get what's the impact on it? What kind of impact did this accident have on you? My staff will ask those questions as well. Um, and I encourage clients to make sure you talk to the doctors, tell them that impact, because that's adds value to your case if you can show the impact this had on your daily activities, and not just, oh, I had difficulty performing my daily activities. We need to know specifics. I have a 5-year-old grandson and I couldn't lay on the floor and play Legos with him for 2 months. Those little things add value. They really do. So I that's kind of fun. Adjusters, on the other hand, some of the bigger companies have brought in some young adjusters who they're really not adjusters anymore. And I don't, and there's no disrespect to that anybody, because they're all very good, but they're really data entry. They're plugging their figures into a computer. They're coming spitting out a range, and this is what the case is going to be worth, and they won't move. And their values have not gotten better over the years by any means. It's harder to settle a case these days. Premiums have gone up, cost of living has gone up, everything's gone up, but the value of PI cases has gone down a lot. So, but again, still holding our own, and I'm able to get some really good cases. I find the use of ADR to be so beneficial, alternative dispute resolution. I take many cases to arbitration or mediation. I think those are fantastic. It gives the client what they think is their day in court. Whether it is or isn't, it gives them that opportunity to tell their story, which sometimes that's what they need. And usually an arbitrator or a mediator understands how to value a case. And so if you give them the right evidence, you're going to get a good decision. And I've been really pretty successful at those, as has my staff. They're great. We love those.
So, with what you said about kind of case values stagnating and cases being harder to settle when you've got an adjuster that's just kind of looking at whatever equation that they've got and just trying to plug numbers in, do you find that you're filing suit on more cases than you used to, or has that been relatively stable?
No, I mean, we've been very successful in getting them what they need. And again, I think that might come from my background and the reputation we have. We're reasonable. We're not, if a case is worth whatever, $50,000, I'm not going to ask for 250,000, because they're going to look at the demand and they're going to go, it's not worth that. And then so they're going to offer you 10, and then you fight. So um to me, in our jurisdiction, juries are not always the most generous. They've gotten a little bit better over the past few years, but I try to avoid it if I can. It's not worth anybody's interest. It's not good for any client to have to sit through, 4 to 6 years of litigation. The expenses are more. Sometimes they end up with less in their pocket. I'll make more money. My fee goes up, but I don't think the client will. And so I always use that as an assessment. I give my client the option. This is your option. This is where we're at. This is what I would expect. I don't have a crystal ball, but this is what I would expect if we were to file a lawsuit. Um, and yeah, I'll make more money, but you might not. Um, and 9 times out of 10, we don't need to. Maybe 8 times out of 10, we don't need to. Um, there are some cases that you have to. You just have to, and that's okay. And sometimes, usually it's because the insurance companies want to do their own discovery, and I respect that. I totally respect that. We will give you what you need. I don't hold anything ever. I don't. It's not worth it. I think it's worse when you do. Um, Wide open book. You want it, you'll get it. If you want 5 years of priors, I'll get them for you because you know what? It's either going to help me or it's going to help me settle my case because it's going to have show a problem and I can take it to the client and say, got a little problem here and this is why. So let's see what we can get about getting this case resolved so we don't have to deal with it.
Sure.
So either way, I get whatever they need, and we've been able to move them very nicely. We do have
So at
cases, we just don't have a ton.
Got it. So, at what point do you kind of start thinking about whether it might be time to litigate a case and file suit on it and move forward with the discovery process? And you talked about mediations and arbitrations and things like that. Do you find that you are having conversations with clients about that sooner, or are you able to kind of recognize the facts and say, yeah, this one might need to be litigated, or maybe it's an adjuster that you have on the file? Like, walk us through kind of when that decision
Sure.
point becomes apparent for you.
Sure. Usually during settlement discussions, we can get a sense of whether or not this is going to probably end up going that route. Whether they're taking a hard stand on liability or something to that effect. And generally, at that point, we'll have a conversation with the client and say, "Okay, this is the update. This is where they're at, but give us a little bit. Let's see if we can see what we can do about it." And we keep fighting. Um, then whenever they tell us it's a final offer, we can usually tell if it is or isn't, but we generally know. And we get a final offer. I run the figures. We put the package together, and I don't settle the case. I say, okay, let me discuss it with the client. I then review the offer with the client, the final package, and I say, here's the offer. This is what you're going to put in your pocket. Here are your options. And I go over the options with them. I don't tell them what to do. I might give them my opinion if needed, but it's really their call. And I explain to them, we can settle it. We'll probably have a check in a month, 3 weeks max, or we can file a lawsuit. And this is what that entails. And I go through the whole litigation process with them. Most of my clients don't want to litigate. They really don't. If it's something that needs to be, it's generally going to be a liability issue or a very complicated medical issue. That definitely happens. Um, I,
Yeah.
yeah.
So, kind of walk us through what a typical day looks like for you. It sounds like you spend a lot of time talking to clients, advising them, a lot of time probably talking to adjusters and trying to get them off of their kind of rote numbers that they
Yes.
assign to the files. It's obviously a lot. What's it working particularly well for you and how the firm manages kind of all of the balls in the air that you have to juggle?
So one of the things that I do, and I started about probably 10 years ago, I brought in a part-time claims adjuster who helps me. So, if an adjuster calls and I'm not here, whether I'm at a deposition or wherever, or I'm in a meeting, this adjuster can take the call. And, she and I have sat down on every single case, and she knows the range that I'm looking for as far as, you know, don't move beyond this, don't go this. So she and I are, you know, well versed on the case. She can take the call. She might follow up on calls. I'll say, "Hey, can you follow up on this one? See where they're at. See if they're ready to start talking, or see if call them and tell them move the demand here and see what they can get." So she helps me with the settlement discussions, and I'd say she does a lot of them. She speaks to the adjusters more. I do speak to them, um, but most of my day is it's speaking with clients. If a client calls, I take the call. Very rarely do I not take a call, and if I don't, it's because I'm either on the phone, in a meeting, or heading into something. That's just how I am. I find that I'd rather take the call when they call, even more than having to call them back, because 9 times out of 10, it is less than a minute for a phone conversation. Usually it's, "I just looking for a status on my case." "Sure, let me tell you where we're at." Or they have a question on a medical, "Oh, my doctor says I have to do this. I'm not sure what to do anymore. I don't want to do that anymore." And again, minute, maybe 2 minute phone call. Very rarely do client calls take more than 2 minutes. And one of the biggest complaints I've ever gotten from people who are leaving other attorneys and are unhappy is that they never get to speak to their lawyer. And that to me is what makes us different because we all do it. All three of us who handle cases here, all three of us attorneys, we all take those client calls as often and as frequent as we can.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Now that part-time adjuster was that something that you brought on, you started, or is that kind of a firm-wide decision and everybody has kind of an adjuster working underneath them to help them kind of negotiate with
Yeah.
adjusters?
So we have two now, and they're both part-time claims adjusters they were claims adjusters for 30 plus years with insurance companies, and they retired and they got bored in retirement. They wanted to do something, so they came here. It's not an uncommon thing in firms. Um, I went to, our bar council in our state to make sure it was okay. Really just I made sure this is many years ago and it was all good as long as I'm overseeing them. And I do. Like I said, I have my hands on every single file. I review every demand. I'm the only one that speaks to clients. And she works directly with me. We meet every week several times. In fact, I was with one. That's why I said I needed 20 minutes because I was with her. But I would say so. The two that we have are they share with the work for myself and the associate in my office. The other managing attorney does not have one, but her caseload is a little lower than mine, so she couldn't warrant or justify it. She just said, I didn't want to. When it started, the principal of the firm actually suggested it to me. Many years ago, he had one, and he had a law student who was doing it with him, and he's like, it's great. And the reason it's great is because it makes you available to speak to clients, and that's the customer service.
Absolutely. So you've told us about kind of things that are working well, and a lot of that boils down to having enough sort of support to free you up to actually talk to clients when they want to get in touch with you, and that tends to alleviate their concerns with a 1 to 2 minute conversation. Are there any things in your firm that you feel are a bit too clunky or a little more manual than they should?
It's funny. Our firm has always been kind of ahead of the game. Before COVID, we did intakes. I have an intake specialist who would do the initial intake, take the information. She would then Skype me and I would meet the client face to face on Skype. And I've done that since maybe 2013, long before COVID. And then COVID came along and it became a natural, and now everybody does it. Everybody does Zoom or telephone conferences. We've been doing it for years. I speak to every client at the time of impact, at time of the intake. I don't if I'm not available, I call them usually within 36 hours after the intake or the file is opened. I call them and I have a conversation with them. But so I think that to me is really seamless. I can't imagine doing it any other way. Um, the principal of my firm has had a claim system created. He's ahead of the game, and so this was 20 years ago. He had it created, and it's fantastic. I can click a button and I can see how many notes that paralegal put in to see is she producing. I can pull up a report that says how many cases do I have with Progressive, and it'll give me every case I have with Progressive. So when I make a phone call, I can make a phone call and say, "Hey, I'm calling you on these 4 cases." Because I have these 4 cases that are ready to talk about, and I can. It's a faster phone call. We can do it with a doctor. We can call a doctor's office and say, "Hey, I'm looking for records on this client, this client, this client, and this client," by just putting a field in a screen and clicking a report. It's amazing. So how could we improve? I don't know. I mean, I'm a creature of habit, and I'm not really don't really love change, but um, so so I'm not sure if I mean I'm sure we could improve it. I think I'd love to see us get more um involved in social media because I think that's where the trend is going in our world. we're probably not there, but I'm a little older, and so that's probably why. But yeah, I mean, and I think I mentioned to you the last time we spoke, we do a demand letter. I can click a button and say demand letter, and it'll pull up a format, and I just fill in the fields of whatever this case is about, the medical. I put it all in, and the system gives me a demand letter. Now, I certainly feed through it, and I run it, I audit it, and I spin it, put my own spin on it, and advocate for my client on that particular client. And so it doesn't get printed the way it comes to me in that report, but it's pretty good. It saves me a lot of time.
Yeah, and is that done through the system that you mentioned the principal put together 20 years ago?
Yes. Yes.
That's interesting. So, Robin, when you think about kind of growth of the firm over the next 6 to 12 months, whether it's case volumes, settlement outcomes, client experience, what are the key things that you guys are focused in on right now?
New clients, because new clients turn into settlements later. So I want to maintain the customer satisfaction. I want to keep the clients happy, retain clients, and bring new ones in. Helping as many people as we can. That's really important to me.
Yeah, absolutely. Sort of the lifeblood of any firm is clients. If you don't have clients, you don't have a firm.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah. So paint a picture for me, Robin. If we were having this conversation a year from now, what would need to have happened for you to feel like you guys had a fantastic year?
Well, I think, well, it's a hard question. I'm not really sure. The business aspect I don't get involved in, so I think some of that um is kind of the business aspect of it. But I think maintaining, I mean, maintaining or increasing our current caseload is certainly a level of success to us. We'd like to see it grow. Again, we're a bigger firm, and so we have a lot of cases, but we always want more for sure. Um, you know, I guess I wish I could say that it would be, oh, bring in more money. Nah, we're going to bring in fair money. That's what I want. I just want the clients to be compensated fairly. Um, Insurance companies, they go through this cycle, for a couple of months, they're really good. And then all of a sudden the bottom drops out and these offers are junk. And, we have to fight so much for every little penny. And sometimes you want to tell the adjusters, I'm not taking the penny out of your piggy bank. This is a claim, and it's no different than the claim we had 10 minutes ago. But to them it is.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I don't really know how to answer that question, except, growth and more clients is key, and maintaining our customer service that I think we have really reached a good level of. We just need to maintain it.
Here's a question I love to ask. And if, it sounds like you guys are doing a lot of great things and you may not have a super strong answer for this, but if you had a magic wand that can fix one single thing in your practice, whether that's, just getting more clients or something slowing you down, what's the thing that you would wave that magic wand at to fix something in your practice?
Wow. Interesting. It's an interesting question because it's not something that I never think about. Um, Sometimes the challenges are just keeping everybody happy, and happy, not just clients, but staff. Sometimes that's really hard, and I take that to heart because I feel like it's my responsibility to keep them happy, and I wish I could wave a magic wand and just give everybody a little happy pill and say, "Be everybody, just be happy." No more bitching, or complaining. But obviously, that's not going to happen. Um, so I think really just keep maintaining some level of happiness and satisfaction, but not just among clients, but among the staff as well.
Yeah, and I think that could be extrapolated out to society at large too. If we could just make everybody happy, that would solve a vast majority of our problems.
Amen.
Yeah. Well, great, Robin. This has been a fantastic conversation. Your 30 years of experience in this space, and the fact that you understand it from both the insurance defense side and the plaintiff side, seems like you guys are doing really great things at your firm. I really appreciate you taking the time to join us on the podcast. Where can our listeners find out more about you and your guys' firm?
So our website is if they just Google my name, D Robin Gouveia, Gouveia. You Google my name, you'll come up to my website. The website I think is called Good Legal Advice with hyphens in between every word. Um, .com, I think. Or simply Google D Oliveira and Associates, D apostrophe Oliveira and Associates. That will come up to our website as well. We have a fantastic website that has lots of information on it. We have settlement and verdicts. We have, information about us. We have information about all our offices, where we're located, because we are everywhere, it seems. Um, but I yeah, that's really about it. That's where they can find us, and they'll get lots of information. The other thing, and I'm always happy to speak to somebody if they have a question about it, they think they have a case and they want to chat with a lawyer, call me. I'm happy to talk to you. It takes 5 minutes. And if it's a case, I can help you. If it's not, I might be able to give you some direction on where to go and what to do. So they can call us anytime. Um, that'd be perfect.
All right. Great. Thanks for joining us on the show.
I appreciate it. Thank you so much. Pleasure being here.